So graphics is coming in between with the code and the user. That's what you need to understand here. If I do anything on the GUI, obviously that I will consider that as an action. So I'll be entering the amount in terms of US dollars is what you need to remember here. This is the ideal state, okay? In this chart, so they have clearly mentioned all the inputs and all the outputs. Hello everyone, I welcome all of you to the beautiful session that's going to be on GUI testing. My dear students, what exactly GUI testing is all about? Yes, of course all of you will be knowing GUI in the sense graphical user interface. Yes, what exactly this graphical user interface? I want to speak about this before I get into my session. My dear students, imagine I have a program which I have written. So it's a complete hardcore program. So you are just directly looking at the code what I have written. So most of the people find it very difficult to understand that and to use that. So basically those who are not into a computer science background or the programming background. So I want to make this as very simple and easy to use. How do I do it? So how do I make it user friendly? So I will pitch in with a new element that is going to be the graphical interface. So guys, anything which comes in between is what I will call it as an interface. So graphics is coming in between with the code and the user. That's what you need to understand here. So that is what I will call it as a graphical user interface. So now it's very easy for me to operate everything with the help of the GUI. In the olden days, I was doing everything with the command prompts. For everything, I have to type the command. But now I don't have that headache. Right? So everything I can just do it with a mouse click and the form filling, right? So that's how it is. Now I will be discussing how do I test that graphical user interface. That's going to be the concept for this session with all of you today. So guys, let's check out what exactly that I have here for all of you in this session. So I will be discussing the currency conversion program. What exactly this currency conversion program? So I will be discussing this, one of the best example to discuss with respect to the GUI testing. All right, so let's start. So before I get into that example, let me discuss some of the basic important statements that you should know with respect to the GUI. What exactly that I have with respect to the GUI? So please remember, the first statement that I should remember with respect to the GUI is the characteristics of GUI application is that it's a event driven. What exactly the meaning of event driven? If I do anything on the GUI, obviously that I will consider that as an action. So for that action, there will be a reaction. So that reaction is what I will call it as an event driven. So for each and every input, there will be a reaction that I will call it as an event driven. It is not mandatory for a user to follow some particular order, but I can also develop a GUI application which is guided in a several sequence of order of event driven. What is the meaning of that statement, sir? Say for example, I have to fill the form. After filling the form, I have to click on the submit button. After clicking on the submit button, I have to check the status whether it is getting updated or not. So this is one by one. The process should happen one by one. That is what I will call it as a sequence that I can define when I'm designing the GUI. So that is what you need to understand. Say for example, let me take one more example. Guys, I will fill the form. Filling the form is the first event that you have to perform. Then after that, so you have to click on submit. Then after that, I will be generating a report. So that is the second event is what you need to remember. So after that, I will be getting the print of it. That is the third sequence. So directly without filling the form, I cannot go for a print. That is what you need to remember. Directly without filling the form, I cannot go for a print or the report generation. So this is a sequence, one after the other. I can design that with respect to the GUI is what you need to remember. So fine, let's take a look with respect to the currency conversion program example. Guys, this is a layout with respect to the GUI that I have. The first thing that you need to observe here is I have a text box where I will be entering the amount. I will be entering the amount in terms of US dollars. So I'll be entering the amount in terms of US dollars is what you need to remember here. Then after that, so please observe, I have got the radio button here. So I will be able to select any one country. So if I select any one country, that country will be reflecting here that it says equivalent in. Okay, automatically the value will come here. That's what you need to observe. After that, so I have to perform any one of the action by pressing any one of these buttons. So what is that I have here? So I have got 3 buttons. The first one is compute, second one is clear, third one is quit. So guys, what happens here? When I perform compute, so automatically the currency conversion will happen. Here I have given dollars. So the dollars will get converted into the respective countries what I have given. So that is what you need to understand. If I give clear, all the values whatever I have selected, that will get cleared. And if I quit, so I will be coming out of the application is what we need to remember. So guys, I will be discussing this in detail now. So guys, observe this diagram. So what exactly that I have in this finite state machine? So guys, observe in this diagram. So this is the ideal state. Okay. In this chart, so they have clearly mentioned all the inputs and all the outputs. For example, for the first input, what will be my output? So like that, they have described the action or the events or the functionality of currency conversion program in detail. Let me explain this diagram in detail for all of you. So guys, observe this table very quickly. So this is a detailed diagram, high level diagram, which explains the complete execution of the currency conversion program. Guys, what is the first thing that I have? I have the ideal state. So it explains the different states. That's what you need to observe here. Okay, so this is the ideal state, and here I have the next state, that is country selected. Here I have US dollar amount entered, and here I have both the inputs done, and here it will convert the equivalent amount displayed. So how exactly this system is working? Now let me make it very simple for all of you to understand. So what happens here? It's in the ideal state now. So after that, the first thing that I have to select is I have to select the country. Is it? No, before that, I will be selecting or I'll be entering the amount. That's the first thing that you need to remember. So fine, I have entered the amount in the US dollars. Then after that, I will select the country. So I have got different countries. I will select the countries. If both the inputs are done, then I will calculate the equivalent amount. So this is the general overview of the system. Now, let me explain this diagram with respect to this input and output. So I will just show you 1 or 3 so that you will be able to understand that very clearly, so in detail. Now let me observe and let me explain this very clearly for all of you. So please observe, I have IP1 in the sense input 1. So that is what you need to remember. If I say OP1 in the sense output 1, for input 1, what will be my output 1? That's how you have to look at this table. Alright, so fine, what is the first one that I have? So I have IP1. So where is the IP1 in this diagram? You have to find out. So guys, you have the IP1 here. So that's what you need to understand. So IP1 in the sense country selected. That's what you need to understand. For IP1, I have the OP1. OP1 in the sense what? Output 1. So displays the US dollar amount. So input is what? Enters the US dollar amount. For this, it displays the US dollar amount. That is the output. That's what you need to observe with respect to the input 1 and output 1. Now, after this, what is the next one that I have? Observe IP2. Click on a country button. Okay, click on a country button. So guys, I will click on the country button because I have to select different countries. I have to select different countries. So which is listed, okay? Country 1. So what that is Brazil, country 2, Canada, Europe, Japan. I have 4 countries. In that, I will be selecting any one is what you need to observe here. Alright. So fine, I have selected the countries. That is what you need to understand. So please observe here. Input 2. So for that, I have the output 3. So fine. I have that. And also, guys, observe, displays the country name and displays the Brazil is the country that we have selected here. That's how the input and output goes hand in hand is what you need to observe here. So that's a table concept that you need to observe here. Let me just go through and help you to understand. So guys, so after selecting a country, so what is the third input that you have to select? So click on the compute button. So guys, when do you click on the compute button? So guys, when you have both the inputs, you will click on the compute button. So then after that, so you can also click on the clear button. You can also click on the quit button. You can also click on the OK if any error occurs. This is what you need to understand. You need to spend some little time here. Sir, when do I click on OK button? Say for example, here I will be clicking OK. I have not selected the country, but I will click OK. That time I will get an error. So at that time, I have to click on OK. So that is what you need to observe here. Click on OK. So you are giving the input. So that is what they have listed. Even that also they have listed as input, one of the input. That is what you need to remember. You can observe here in the input 6. So input 6, you have IP6. And also you have the IP6, here also. When you have not entered the US dollar, you will get an error message. And also you will observe IP6. When you have not entered the country, you will get an error message. At that time, you have to click OK. So that is what you need to observe here. So you can observe IP3, click on compute button. So when you have entered, okay, when you have entered the country and we have entered the US dollar, you will press compute button. That's what you need to remember with respect to the IP3. So IP4, click on clear button. Guys, you will be able to see here when you are in the idle state, IP4 and IP5 is up to your choice. That's what you need to observe here. Like this, it goes on one by one. So that's the concept of this diagram that you need to remember. In the same way, guys, you will be seeing the action, how exactly it moves to one state to another state. But you have not noticed how exactly this data, after performing all this operation, it is going and it is storing. Okay, that's what I will show you in the next diagram. I want all of you to please, the same thing what you have in the previous diagram, same thing I have, but so I will also discuss with the load in this diagram is what you need to observe here. So guys, after performing all this task, so I will go back to the storage. So that is IP5 and I will click quit. So that's what you need to understand with respect to the system. So they have displayed the different outputs and the different inputs in detail. I want all of you to please go through this. So I'll just move out of this frame. So I want all of you to please take the screenshot. So for each and every input, so what is the output? So I have discussed that in detail and short and sweet. So that's what you need to remember. So with this, I have come to an end of this session. Guys, I'll be discussing a lot more important topics in my next session. So until then, take care. Bye-bye.